This is the New York City FC Pregame Live. Today, New York City head north of the border to take on CF Montreal. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
Oh, gosh. I just love doing that, Matty Lawrence.
You are bilingual.
You come up here and everyone asks you, do you speak, you hop in an Uber or a Lyft or whatever, or wherever, and, you just have to go, peu.
Yeah.
French, peu.
That's pushing it.
Very peu.
Yeah.
And I did take French. The last time I took French, have you ever taken French?
I did, yeah. I failed it in high school, so yeah.
You failed it?
Yeah. Well, I got a D, which technically was a pass, but really only A to C counted.
I don't know what my grade was, but I did not fail. And but that's
my French teacher was an alcoholic,
though.
He was an alcoholic, and our classes weren't streamed. Apart from that, but that's the state of British education for you.
All right. Well, very good. Hey, there's Matty Lawrence. I'm Glenn Crooks. We have your live radio commentary on the New York City FC radio network coming up, beginning at 2:15 today, as it's a matinee here in MLS with New York City in an effort to snap a 5-game winless streak, play CF Montreal that had the new interim coach bump last week. So they've only won 2 matches all year, and both have come against the Red Bull New York, which is interesting. And New York City has lost the last 3 times they've played against Montreal, a couple of 1-0 losses last year. And I remember the decision day 2-0 loss the season before that, which was pretty dismal as they were trying to prepare for the playoffs. So it's Montreal against the New York area teams. They've been pretty good.
Yeah, they have. Look, Montreal would be top of the table if it only included games against New York Red Bulls. They've won 2, they've scored 7 and only conceded 1. But unfortunately, against the rest of MLS, they've played 6, won none, drawn none, lost 6, scored only 5 and conceded 19. So, yes, let's hope that NYCFC count as the rest of MLS, and there's not a New York metro area little table, because, yes, it's been dismal against Montreal, certainly in the last couple of years when Montreal have been very poor themselves. They have got the new manager bump, as you said. They did win 4-1 last week. But when you look down at the team, Glenn, and their squad, or what we assume will be their team, when you look down their squad as a whole, it's not very good. It's just not very good. They don't spend money. There is no way in any way that the NYCFC shouldn't win this game. But we know this is football. The reason why we love it so much, it's a beautiful game and anything can happen at times. You can score at any time. You can concede at any time. You can lose against the worst, and you can beat the best sometimes. So that is why we like it. Look, what we do know today is, I think, Glenn, and I'll try and not curse it, there's going to be goals because both teams ship so many goals. They concede so many goals. Montreal have conceded 4 goals in additional time. So after the 90th minute, they've conceded 4, and NYCFC has conceded 4 goals from the 90th minute onwards, so the very last minute,
including 2 last time.
Exactly. So look,
against Cincinnati,
there's no leaving early. You can't leave early. You've got to stay for the additional time.
That's the excitement of MLS. A lot of times is late in the game, and that's certainly based on those statistics true with these 2 sides. But that Vancouver game, rather the FC Cincinnati match, the most recent matchup for the New York City Football Club, up 4-2, and they give up 2 in stoppage time, 4-4. And we're going to get to what Pascal Janssen said post-game, because I think it's significant. But first, we should talk about the squad a little bit today.
Yes.
We're not yet prepared to reveal the starting 11, but one thing we do know is that Andres Perez will be in the squad today. Andres Perez. I forgot his name. He's been out for so long. But what a critical piece of the midfield he was, especially in the second half of last season under Pascal Janssen. So we'll see how he'll be utilized by the gaffer today. And then the other is Arnau Farnos, who has signed consecutive short-term agreements, but reached the limit of 4, played in 2 MLS games. A guy from the New York City FC2 squad by way of Girona. He's a Spaniard. And today there was an announcement that New York City have signed him to a first-team contract, which was the only way he was going to be able to participate any longer with the first team. And we'll see how he might be informed whether he's in the 11, which is a possibility, or will he be just on the bench today. He did travel, so he's going to be one or the other.
Yeah, he's definitely here. And also we know that when he came on in the last game against FC Cincinnati, although when he was on NYCFC conceded a couple of goals, it was nothing to do with him. He certainly wasn't cobble. He looked promising. It's a really small sample size from what I've seen so far, Glenn, but he's technically very gifted, which is no surprise.
Well, let's we do. The 11 was just released, Matty. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. No,
but let's talk a little bit more about. We now have a
TV?
That's our technician making his appearance here on NYCFC Pregame Live. As now we have the replays to be able to review, so Matty can analyze the game properly. Coming up, but Farnosh is in the 11. And we know Hannes Wolf is out with an injury. That was announced yesterday. So you wondered, would it be Tyler Magno? And I asked Pascal Janssen directly during the pregame briefing yesterday, and he had a grand pause, and he just said, you'll just have to wait and see. Yeah. Well, we now know that Magno's on the bench, and the youngster, he's not a teen, but he is a young player to this system.
Yeah, first and foremost, it shows that Pascal's got faith in him. Pascal's obviously seen an awful lot of him. He's seen him playing for the 2 team. He saw him playing in the US Open Cup game against Westchester where he scored a goal. And every day in training for me is almost more important because you are playing up against the best then. He's playing up against the Tavon Gray. He's playing up against Kevin O'Toole. He's playing up against the best players. And he's obviously doing just fine. As I said, when he came on the other day against FC Cincinnati, he looked very good, Glenn. He looked very comfortable in possession, technically gifted, and he wasn't overawed, which more than anything, sometimes I remember making my debut, sometimes you're a little bit overawed, you're a little bit, or you will be nervous, but those nerves get the better of you sometimes. But it didn't look like they did with him, but that was being introduced as a sub, Glenn. I think it's a little bit different when you start a game, so let's see how he does. Am I a bit surprised that Tyler Magno is not starting? Yes. But on the flip side of that, Tyler Magno has been brilliant coming off the bench.
Yep.
He's proven that he can have a positive effect on the game, scoring goals, providing assists when he comes on. So why not leave him there? And we know that Pascal Janssen probably doesn't have true faith in Tyler Magno to go 70, 75 minutes. He's probably got more faith in the young Spaniard to do that. I would think. I'm not putting words in Pascal's mouth. This is just what I'm thinking, my perception.
Maybe more of a two-way player where he's a little bit more willing or effective defensively on that side of the ball. We'll await to speak to Pascal Janssen about that a little bit later on. Just to look at Farnos, what he's done with New York City. He had his 4 appearances short term. First, he was on the bench against St. Louis, April the 4th in that 1-1 draw as a home match. Then he played 2 minutes in Vancouver, making his MLS debut in the 2-0 defeat. He started against Westchester in the US Open Cup game, played the 90, got the goal like you said. And following that, he played a New York City FC 2 match against Connecticut, played the full 90 there. That was on April 19th. April 22nd, 6 minutes in the 4-4 draw with FC Cincinnati, and now he's going from the start. Yeah,
we know that those figures, yes, he came on in the 82nd or 84th minute, so it feels like he only, statistically only plays 6 minutes, but we know he plays a lot longer than that. Even against Vancouver, he only played 2 minutes, but we know it's a lot longer than that because of additional time. So we did get to see him for more than just 8 minutes, and he looks. I'm impressed with him so far, but that's all I'm going to say, Glenn. There's no point in getting overexcited about somebody you haven't seen for whole stretches of games.
No, I mean,
even if he fails today, say he doesn't have a good game, we're not reserving. We're still going to reserve judgment on how he is overall. That's for certain.
Yeah,
it's just a monumental occasion for the young man. As I say, I remember making my debut off the bench, and I remember making my starting debut again, and they're totally different things as well, aren't they? When the game's going on and you're just thrown out there as a sub, you can get away with things.
And there's additional pressure in as much as New York City has not won a game in a while.
Yeah.
After starting the season with 4 undefeated, 3 wins and a draw, New York City has now dropped a lot of points at home, Matty, during this 5-game winless streak, including this 4-4 game against FC Cincinnati, who got goals from Chirilla and Evander in stoppage time to make it 4-4. But maybe it was the first 2 goals that annoyed Pascal Janssen mostly. However, I think the entire scope was a bit annoying for the gaffer, and here he is post game, kind of describing some of the anxiety, and then we could talk off of this, Matty.
The first one came out of nowhere, but Denke is their DP. He knows what to do with this type of space, and a quality cross that the delivery that he got. So that was one in the category, like I tried to explain just now. It's impossible, especially for a team with our qualities, and knowing that we are perfectly capable of dealing with these type of situations. And the second goal, that comes from a set piece. And I know you do your homework. What happened against Miami? It's a set piece. The third goal, it's a late situation from a corner, and we get done. It's a set piece against Vancouver just before halftime. So, but we'll get it right. Don't worry, we'll get it right. But it hurts now because it was so unnecessary tonight.
Yeah, using the word impossible, unnecessary, and interesting, he refers to the Vancouver match. That's the one out of the 5 where he said, look, they were the better side, unquestionably.
Yes. Yep.
Still, the goals were preventable, but we're not going to maybe argue too much with that loss. But all the other games, he felt that New York City was the better side, which that's where it starts to become a little bit concerning for a coaching team.
Yeah, and they were the better team over the 90 minutes, but they still haven't been consistently good over 90. Against FC Cincinnati, yes, they were the better team, but in the last 15 minutes of the game, and then additional time as well, I thought they were second best, and they were 4-2 up, and they conceded goals just far too easily. And Pascal Janssen knows it. We don't need to dwell on it anymore, but there's too many individual errors and multiple individual errors within goals conceded, Glenn, and it's just not good enough, which is why we're seeing changes defensively today. We assume Truin will go back and play as a left-sided centre half. I think that if Mitja Ilinic was here or Drew Baiera was here and fit, I think we'd be seeing a change at right back as well. We just know from watching the goals that Gustavo and Tavon Gray in particular have been caught out possession so frequently. You can forego it or you can accept it if it happens once, but when it keeps happening over and over again, it's just unacceptable. Yeah.
So Gustavo is on the bench today in favor of Keaton Parks, who's back in the midfield with Aiden O'Neill. Kai Truin, as Matty alluded to, we expect him to move at the back, the combination of Truin and Thiago Martins in central defense has really been the most effective pairing, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it has. I think they look calm alongside each other, which is surprising as well. When we've said it so many times. Truin's Australian and speaks English. Thiago Martins is Brazilian and speaks Portuguese. I know he speaks English as well, but you'd have thought there should have been more simpatico between Gustavo and Thiago Martins, but it just hasn't happened at all. We've really not seen it, certainly not over a whole game anyway. At times they look good together, but at other times they're all at sea. Gustavo gets dragged out of position far too easily as well. And at times you feel a little bit sorry for Thiago Martins because he's got to the left of him, Gustavo, who's getting wildly dragged out of position, and Tavon Gray to the right of him is getting dragged out of position. It makes it very difficult for Martins.
So we're getting ready for New York City FC on the road against CF Montreal at this facility. It's a really beautiful, intimate. It holds over 20,000. So it's when the folks show up here, the crowd was rather paltry last week for the Red Bull New York match, which internally they were very disappointed with that attendance on that particular day. But they got the win under the new coach. And, Marco Donadel, I have let's see if it's handy. I have the list of coaches. So since 2012, which is Montreal's first year in MLS, it started with Jesse Marsh. Ironically, now back in Canada, leading the Canadian national team. And then it went from there, including Frank Klopas. Maura Biello has the longest serving record as a head coach here, with 92 league matches. And then it was, we remember Remy Gard. We remember Thierry Henry. How about Wilfred Nancy? Great success there before he left for Columbus. Hernan Losada, not so good, just one season. Laurent Courtois, he was fired last year after just a few games. Marco Donadel fired this year after just a few games. And it is those 10 coaching assignments over the period of time. Now, you could look at New York City. They have 6 head coaches since 2015 when they were born. So that's enough. So a friend I was with last night said he read a statistic, but we can't confirm it. But he said he thought it was a reliable source. And he said among the 5 major sports in North America, that would be the NFL or football, baseball, basketball, hockey, and let's include soccer. There have been more coaches at CF Montreal or the Montreal Impact than any other pro team since they entered the league in 2012. So that's a rather stark statistic.
It's a damning stat, isn't it? Yeah, it is proving that you can't get it right, really. Wilfried Nancy was the only one, in my opinion, over that time that was truly successful, and it still didn't last that long. I know for different reasons, obviously, but the others, and certainly more recently after Nancy, Losada, Courtois, and Donadel were wildly, poor and unsuccessful. But also you have to consider what they are playing with as well, what they're given. It's not just about coaching; it's who you're left coaching as well. And I think everybody said it. We're not the first people to say that Montreal just doesn't really. They haven't been putting any money into it, and it's very, very hard to compete with the likes of LAFC or NYCFC or Inter Miami when you have no money to spend.
Well, they only have one designated player on the roster, Ivan Jaime, who's on loan from Porto. His loan ends in July, so I guess during the World Cup they'll be making decisions regarding him, and if he were not to be retained, they would have no DPs on the roster. There was another wild statistic, which again came from a written source that claimed that since 2014, when Piatti was signed as a designated player on a massive transfer fee, they've never utilized a transfer fee for another DP along the way since then too. So there are indications that the ownership, the Saputos, who also work with Bologna in Serie A and seem to be maybe spending more time there, are not spending the cash to the extent maybe necessary to compete in MLS.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Even just to compete, Glenn. I'm not saying we're not saying to win. We're saying to compete. And at the moment, they can't, unless they're playing New York Red Bulls. They can't compete. They can't. It's statistically
or
proven.
New York City. If New York City doesn't win this one, that'll be 4 losses in a row. Yeah.
But it's a struggle for them. They concede far too many goals. They don't look particularly dangerous going forward. Yes, I know they scored 4 against New York Red Bulls, but we're saying that those 2 games are an anomaly. They scored 7 of their goals, 7 of their 12 goals. Have they scored? I know they scored. Yeah, is it 12 they scored? I think something like that.
It is 12.
And 7 of them
they conceded 20.
Yeah, and 7 of them were against New York Red Bulls. So in the other 6, they've scored very, very few.
Yeah, they've been shut out 3 times. Yeah, and then so inconsistent as well. So it really, like we said midweek, the New York City FC-Cincinnati match, it was a match that both teams had been struggling, and it was important to both sides. And you have to feel Cincinnati, even, Pat Noonan after the game, although, would have rather won the game, it felt quite fortunate to get the point, and was rightly so proud of his team for how they going down 4, you mentioned Tyler Spano off the bench earlier and how valuable he could be in that role. He scored a goal to put New York City up 4-2 late in the game, and it didn't hold.
It didn't. So you've got to be proud of your team for their resilience.
Here's what he said.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for us not to walk off the field with anything, and for these guys to, salvage a point and in the fashion that they did it, with everything that was thrown at the group in the lead up, before, in warm-ups, during, with injuries. It shows if when we get this the defensive side of the ball right, the character's there, the attack is there, and I think we'll be a good team. But we know we got a ways to go. But that was impressive from the guys that finished that game.
And now Cincinnati will be at home against the Red Bulls, who just got thrashed by Montreal last weekend, and a host of games today. Toronto and Atlanta are already underway. They're 41 minutes into their match. Not too far away, a little bit to the west in Toronto. No score there as of yet. Atlanta United has one win in 9. Tata Martino, some of his comments recently, well, one in particular, Matty, he said, if it weren't for my success the first time around when Atlanta won MLS Cup under Tata Martino, then he went away for a few years and came back. But he said if it wasn't for that success, he probably would have been sacked by now. Interesting.
Yeah, and that's a fair point when you look at how much we talk about money, Montreal not spending it. Atlanta United certainly do spend money. They've got players there on huge money who aren't producing for them. And again, at Atlanta, it's all over the field, isn't it? It's not, they're not just producing in attack. They're defending poorly. The midfield doesn't look particularly good either. I haven't looked at one Atlanta United game this season and thought, wow, they look like a good team. They are completely the opposite of that, in fact.
If you're wondering about Inter Miami, as most do, they are at home against New England a little bit later on. Columbus hosts Philadelphia. DC United, they're at home to Orlando. And supposedly you look at all the matchups involving Eastern teams, and Nashville at home to Charlotte might be the marquee matchup. But we'll see if Nashville can continue their ways.
Yeah, and they're very good at home. We know that they've been good at home for the last couple of seasons. So, yeah, they're a tough nut to crack, certainly, when they're playing at home. And to be honest, away this season, that's for sure. It's very, very hard to pick who's going to win a lot of the games because teams are playing with such indifference, aren't they? Look down today. I would hate to pick the score or the result of today's game with two teams that you have no idea really which one's going to show up.
And the reminder, thank you, KP, to hit the like button, subscribe, and all the other things you need to do so you can catch Matty and I here an hour before every game. And also NYCFC Coffee Break. We kind of do our review and give our opinions there. And those that comes up Monday morning, this coming Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, here on the same little network of all these things, YouTube, LinkedIn, X. I don't know what else we're on, but it's a bunch of those things. All right, so we'll close by saying Montreal last year had 2 wins at home all season long. If they defeat New York City today, Matty, it'll be their second home win. And because they started the season 6 on the road, because of the weather up here north of the border, in Quebec in particular, they don't normally, and with the Olympic Stadium unavailable because of repairs, sometimes they've gone inside and done that. So they were away for a lengthy period of time, and now let's see what happens under the new manager.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go off and get some fruit. I'm a bit hungry, Glenn. I'm going to go and get some papaya, go and get some melon. I'm going to tuck in, and then we'll be back. Then I'll be back at 2:15.
Right, and we're going to close that door behind us because it won't be quite as true. It won't be quite. Philippe Unafroy is the interim manager. We've been referring to him. I'd like to call him out by name. A guy who's been in the academy system for a long time. I said to you, Matty, that he's kind of got that Wilfred Nancy lifer with Montreal Impact and now CF Montreal, working his way up. And now he's getting his opportunity as the interim. Will he have a chance to hold on to the position? Who knows? Because
who knows?
Who knows? We'll just leave it at that. Who knows? We do know that coming up at 2:15 Eastern, we're going to have our pregame show presented by Ford and with Pascal Janssen. We got about 11 or 12 minutes with Pascal. It's a very interesting chat with Pascal because we really take that last game and break it down as specifically as he would in terms of his disappointment as to how it all panned out. And it really started with the loss to Miami and has worked its way from there. So for Matty, I'm Glenn. Appreciate you being here, and we look forward to chatting with you during the game. Enjoy the game, everybody.